Okay. Just a second. So minerals are basically are the elements which remain as ash when any plant or animal tissues are completely burned. So like vitamins also, these minerals are basically the chemical elements. Basically these are found in the water, in the groundwater, in the soil, and we can get these minerals from animal or the vegetable sources. So these are also very essential for our maintenance of our health. So these perform the regulatory and the protective action like the vitamins, and the human body contain basically the 19 minerals in various amounts. Basically, some are in large proportion, others are in the lesser proportion. So the total mineral content basically in our body are 4 to 6% of our the body weight. Okay, so some example of like the minerals which are needed for our body are the calcium, which is needed for to be made up of our bones. It is good for the maintenance of the health, also for the muscles, also to maintain the blood pressure, also, and then the sodium, potassium, chloride, iodine, zinc. These are also very important for the maintenance of our the fluid balance in our body. So out of these minerals, two main categories actually are divided. We can say the major one and the minor one. Major one, which requires comparatively larger in quantity, and and some are in the smaller quantity. So yeah, calcium, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, chloride. Sulfur spelling is written wrong. Basically, it is sulphur. Sulfur. There. Okay. Kindly corrected. The sodium, the chloride, the magnesium, all these are considered as the major one, because these are needed in uh, major quantity, basically a large quantity in our body, in our body. So approximate these contain in a very major form, they know, and the required in the larger amount, and the which required in the smaller amount are the known as a trace element or the minor one. So those are the iron, iodine, zinc, copper, chromium. All these are the minor or the trace animal and minerals. So yeah, chromium, copper, fluoride, iodine, iron, manganese, molybdenum, selenium, zinc, and this is the major one: the calcium, chloride, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, sodium, sulfur. Okay, so these are the main minerals which are required for our body for the maintaining of our health. So we will discuss some of the minerals here. First of all, we will discuss the calcium, which is basically far present in very large amount in our body. So these basically the calcium and the phosphorus both, they are needed in our body in a large quantity. So the human body contains approximately calcium. How much? It's around. No, it's not mentioned here. The 1200 gram of the calcium, which is basically needed for our the bones and the teeth, and also for some other parts of the body, the soft tissues, and also in the body fluids. So calcium is very important. It is the largest one, which is basically perform various functions. The various functions basically in the development of the bones and the teeth. The our bones gets a stony hardness impact because of the calcium. So it provides a rigidness and firmness to the bones also, and like teeth also requires calcium for their the proper development. So that is why calcium is very necessary during the growing years. Okay, malab, in the childhood it's very important, so that the bones and the development of the due to for the increasing of the height, the development of the bones is necessary. That's why calcium is very necessary during the early years of the childhood. Then the function is the regulation of the body processes also, because calcium helps in the regulation of the muscles. The contraction and relaxation of the muscles are because of this calcium. Okay, so which is a very important muscles where calcium is needed. Any important muscles, so can you name them? So if the muscles does not contract or relax properly, then it greatly impacts on our health. Anyone? Which muscle? Have you heard about the type of the muscles?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So which one is a muscle which needs 24 into 7? The working of that muscles is very necessary.
Cardiac muscle.
Yes, cardiac muscles. Okay. If muscles get not contract properly, the heart may get affected. So the that muscles also, because heart is also made up of only the muscles. No, that's why. Then the regulation of the passage of the substance also into and out of the cells is also regulated by the calcium. And also the impulse means a message from one nerve to the another nerve. The nerve impulse is also because of this calcium, and this calcium also helps in the clotting of the blood. Okay, so bone health, normal blood pressure, muscle contraction, clotting of blood, lot of function or of this calcium. So, what are the important food sources of calcium? Anyone?
Milk, ma'am.
No, milk and milk products basically, and are the excellent sources of the calciums. And other sources are like the fish, especially the dried fish, and some seafoods also. They are also have the substantial qualities of the calcium. Plant sources. Can you name any plant sources which is very high quantity of calcium?
Moringa, yeah, drumstick.
Yes, and any millet, because nowadays there is a concept of millets is going very high. So any millet which contains a lot of calcium.
Ragi or
Yes,
jowar.
very good. Ragi. Ragi is a very high rich. It's a very high source of rich source of calcium basically. Okay, and some pulses also like the Bengal gram, the black gram, the green gram, the moat one, the sprouted ones later on you can sprout them. The rajma, the soya beans, all have also the quantity of calcium in them. Then the green leafy vegetables also, like the in our North India we actually consume in the winters the sarson ka saag, which is made up of the mustard leaves basically, है ना? And we get the fenugreek leaves also, methi patta. So all these and the amaranth leaf also, they also contain the good amount of the calcium. And along these nuts and oil seeds also contain the rich calcium. And can you name any seed which is very high quantity of calcium?
Peanut.
Peanuts, yes. Besides any, that is till.
Okay.
gingerly, because in our North India, I don't know about the south part, but in especially in the North India, in the winter season especially, we consume a lot of til. We have the til laddus. And in the if you celebrate the Makar Sankranti here, in January we celebrate the Makar Sankranti, and we especially prepare the til laddus, and til is a very rich source of the calcium also. So, and other sources are the coconut, almonds, walnuts. These are also contain the calcium. So the eggs, milk, poultry, fish are the animal sources, and these are the food source, plant sources. Okay. So what happens if calcium is basically get deficient? It's not a proper maintained in our diet. So the hypocalcemia. Hypo means low, calcemia is a calcium level. So hypocalcemia problem may occur, and which basically cause the low blood calcium. The calcium level in the blood gets low, and which gets rise to the further problems. The movement of the muscles may affect. Then the osteoporosis can result because of the lack of the calcium. Vitamin D deficiency also there, because vitamin D works especially with the combination of the calcium and the phosphorus also. So due to the deficiency of the calcium, these problems may occur. Then the next our mineral is the chloride. Chloride is basically it is basically found in the extracellular fluid around the cells. Na? Extracellular fluid, which is basically blood plasma, and especially in the blood plasma. So the it contains approximately 100 gram of chloride in our body. 100 gram of chloride our body contains. Okay, the rest of chloride is basically present inside the cell, and in the extracellular fluid we have the 100 grams of chloride basically. So it is present in the extracellular fluid in the form of, with the combination of the sodium also. So sodium chloride. In some cells there are the potassium chloride also. The chloride basically functions with the combination of the sodium. So the function of the basically sodium chloride are also the interlinked basically, and it regulates the fluid balance. It maintains the electrolyte and the fluid balance of our body, the acidity, the alkalinity of our body fluids. If it does not maintain properly, the pH level of our fluids may disturb. Okay. And what are the sources from which we get the chloride? Basically, the common salt, the table salt, the sodium chloride, we get it from the usually from our salt. And the deficiency is the hypocholelemia, matlab the low level of the chloride, and it basically derange the electrolyte balance if it gets deficient, and the person may suffer from the repeated vomitings, and blood pressure low may get also. है ना? So these are the problems. It may usually affected with the sodium. So next is the chromium. Chromium is also a very mineral which is actually needed in our body in a very low quantity, and it is basically aids in the metabolism of the carbohydrates, and it affected the our, if it get deficient, the glucose tolerance, because it basically maintains the carbohydrate metabolism. So the deficiency may affect the glucose tolerance in our body, and it may give rise to the level of the cholesterol may get rise, and the triglycerides also. So next is the copper. Copper is also needed in our body for the various functions, especially in the electron transport, and the Okay, and the sources of this copper is from the eggs, the cereals, the whole wheat flour, the some beans also, the liver, fish. All these contain the copper, and it basically the function of this is in the synthesis of the uh, 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 it act as a various enzyme, helps in the action of the various enzymes, and used for the electron transport. Also it basically helps in the synthesis of the hemoglobin. So it is required with the iron, so that the hemoglobin formation it may so the deficiency of copper may be effect in the result in the anemia. Okay, the deficiency is very basically very uncommon, and the exception of the malnutrition. So if the severe sometimes it may we get the anemia. Then the iodine is basically it's very important for the functioning of our thyroid gland, and it is basically in many times you notice on the packet of your salt it is written the iodized salt, means the iodine is included, is added in your table salt. Besides the sodium chloride, the iodine is also added in your salt, and the amount is very basically the small amount we need, we have to be needed for our body, the 20 to 25 milligram. So that is basically milligram, and this mineral is basically found in the thyroid gland. The function is basically it helps in the production of the hormone, the thyroxine, which is secreted by the thyroid gland, and it regulates the metabolism of our body, है ना? And the what are the food sources? Basically the food sources of iodine, anyone? Especially they are found in the seafood. Okay, so the people who live on the hilly areas, they are more prone to get the from the deficiency of iodine. They need especially this iodized salt. Otherwise the people who live near the sea, or get the vegetables or the like the crops near grown in the sea, or the rich iodine rich soils, they are not basically suffer from the deficiency. The deficiency of this basically the problem which we get due to the deficiency of iodine is the which one, the goiter. It means the thyroid glands gets enlarged, and it affects our metabolism. Okay, is it okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
If you don't any question, you may ask in between also. Then next mineral is the fluoride. Fluoride is basically also very necessary for our teeth, for the tooth health, and also for the bone basically. And the sources of the fluoride is basically from the plant sources, from the spinach, the beet, the potatoes, the grapes. Okay, and the deficiency of fluoride may gives rise to the your bone derangement, the osteoporosis, and also the dental caries. And actually this is found in very minimum quantity, that is a 3.5 milligram basically. So it is a very ultra trace element, you can say so. Then the next is the iron. Iron is very important for our body. It is a trace element, only needed approximately 3 to 5 gram in our body, and it is a mineral like calcium also, which is present in our body. So for many functionings, because it is found mainly in our blood. So all tissues, cells, especially the muscle tissues, also contain a little bit of iron, and rest of the iron is basically stored in our body organs. where? In the liver, in the spleen, in the kidney, and also in the bone marrow. So the what is the function of this? Basically, it is a part of the hemoglobin. Heme plus globin. Heme is basically made up of this iron, and globin is a protein part of the that blood. Okay. So the function of basically iron is in it helps in the transport of oxygen, because hemoglobin the iron makes this hemoglobin. So the iron is present in the heme part. This hemoglobin is very necessary, because it gets attached with the oxygen, and then later on it becomes a oxyhemoglobin, and it transports the oxygen to the various parts of our body. So hemoglobin carries oxygen from the lungs to the tissues, and in turn helps in carrying the later on it takes away the carbon dioxide from the tissues to the lungs. So it helps in the transportation of the oxygen, and also in the exhalation out the carbon dioxide, which is a waste product, because due to the carbon dioxide actually formed that is the end product of the metabolism process. Okay. So oxygen is basically the very necessary for the muscle contraction also. So iron is also present in the muscles in the form of the myoglobin. So myoglobin has also the capacity to the store oxygen, is that is also necessary for the contraction of the muscles. Okay, so iron is basically is help in the important function of our body, and the sources of the iron are, anyone? What are the rich sources of iron? Especially the animal sources, like the organ meats, like the kidney, the spleen, है ना, contain a large amount of the iron. Also the plant foods. Plant foods, anyone?
Ma'am, that raw banana means yes,
Raw
raw
banana, okay. Okay, I don't know about this thing. Raw banana contains a lot of okay, iron. Okay. And what other?
spinach also.
Yes, spinach, the green leafy vegetables like the spinach, the mustard leaves, the amaranth leaves, yes, mint leaves also, all these also. And the some cereals also, like the whole wheat flour, the rice flakes, the bajra, ragi, jowar, all these are also the sources of the iron. And all, and whatever other.
Dates.
Nuts also, almonds also having rich amount of iron.
Yes, yes. Have you taken jaggery? Jaggery is also another food which contains a fair amount of iron. You know about the jaggery?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Brown sugar.
jaggery. Yes, good. Yes, and soya bean is also an example of a pulse which contains actually the iron. Okay. So what happens if the deficiency of iron is there? We affected from the anemia, the iron deficiency anemia basically, and thus affect our the immune function in the children, the cognition, that is in the for cognition functioning, and the immune function in the children. Okay. Next is the magnesium. Magnesium is basically also the part of the bone and the teeth, and it helps in the creation of the protein, thus helps in the function of the muscles, and it's also acts as a activator of the metabolism of the macronutrients. So the sources of the magnesium are, anyone? Basically the green leafy vegetables and also the seafood. Okay. So their magnesium is present in these things. And basically the magnesium is present in the bones in combination with the calcium and the phosphorus also. Okay. So the it helps in the regulation the passage basically of the substance into and out of the cells, means to maintain the balance of the intracellular fluid and the extracellular fluid, and also in the metabolism of micronutrients rare, so it helps in the activity of enzymes, further help in the metabolism. Okay, so it is present with the calcium and phosphorus, so it also helps in the building of the bones and the teeth. Okay, sources I have told you right now. And what happen if the deficiency is there? Deficiency is the hypomagnesemia, means the low level of the magnesium, which affect the normal functioning of the muscles and the neural tissues also, and it also affect the bone formation also, and it affect with the kidney disease, especially when people have a lot of alcohol, consume a lot of alcohol. So these are the problems are due to the deficiency of the magnesium. Next, some are there, the manganese. Manganese is basically the function of manganese is it activates these several enzymes, and it also needed for the synthesis of the hemoglobin. It usually helps in the growth and in the reproductive periods and the lactative periods basically. Okay, so magnesium is very necessary. So cofactor for enzymes, right now I told you, and basically it also used in the production of the insulin also. So the deficiency is usually not seen in humans who have taken the normal diets, but sometimes affected the infertility and some menstrual cycle. It affects menstrual cycle also. So these are further the very trace ultra trace elements. The molybdenum. The molybdenum is a purine degradation basically, and it's helps in the formation of the uric acid. It basically helps the enzyme reaction, and deficiency is also the usually not seen. The phosphorus is very important after the calcium. It usually works in our body with the calcium, and the low level also affect our bone and the teeth health. So uh, phosphorus, we have actually it's like a calcium basically. The sources of phosphorus are like the dairy products like the calcium, the meat, the fish, the poultry, the nuts, the the requirement of calcium and phosphorus are almost the same. Almost the daily requirement is approximate the 1000 milligram of the bones. So it also helps in the formation of the bones, the teeth, and it's also in the muscles contraction, nerve activity, in the nerve impulse, and it also involved in the metabolism, in the energy transfer. Okay, so the deficiency of phosphorus is also affect the blood pressure, and it's the result in basically the convulsions. It's a nervous disorder. The convulsions, certain in the epileptic fit, convulsions are there if the deficiency of phosphorus is there. Okay, next is the potassium. Potassium is basically it's the chloride action. It's either with the sodium or with the potassium. Potassium is present in twice basically as much amount as the sodium in our body. So it is also present in the intracellular fluid. Potassium is present where? Intracellular fluid, and function of the sodium and potassium are basically interlinked. They both are interlinked. Okay. You know what are the example of the potassium? Anyone nowadays, because of the detoxification, people needed lot of anyone. From where we can get the potassium? No one?
No idea, ma'am.
The Epsom salt, have you heard about?
Means that
Yes, basically they are of the potassium chloride. Okay.
okay.
And the food items which contain the potassium are the basically the meat, the fish, the poultry, and all these. And in the plant sources, some fruits and nuts also contain the potassium. What is the function of potassium? Basically, first of all, it balances the intracellular and the extracellular fluid, and it regulates the pressure between the two, so that our the fluid, their pH should be maintained, so that the outside fluid and inside fluid, they have make a balance between themselves. And in this further responsible for the maintaining of the pH of our body fluids. So the pH regulates the type of the alkalinity or acidity in our body also. So potash is basically alkaline. Okay. And when it combines with the chloride, which is acidic, and together they help maintain the acidity and the alkalinity of our body fluids. Potassium is also a role in the muscle activity, in the heart muscles, in the contraction of the muscles, and the deficiency of potassium is basically occur. People may suffer from the vomiting or the diarrhea or the diuretics problem, and heartbeat gets irregular because of the muscles does not work properly. So hypokalemia, basically due to the low level of the calcium or potassium, gives rise to the vomiting and the nausea like problems. Okay. Then it is a selenium. Selenium is basically works as an antioxidant, which basically protects the substance from being oxidized. So, and does decrease the adversity of the free radicals. It combines with the free radicals of the oxygen, and helps in does protect our body, and it's act as an antioxidant. So the uh, selenium food sources are what, it is basically present in the seafood. Okay, in the meat, in the chicken, and in the animal plant sources. We can get it from the tomatoes, the milk, the mushroom, the garlic, uh, and some cereals also it is present. So functioning of this selenium is basically it acts as an antioxidant. So the deficiency gives rise to the muscles. Basically the muscular dystrophy may occur because of the deficiency of the selenium. And liver may also damage. Liver necrosis is there. So the muscle pain there, muscle weakness are there, cardiomyopathy, because it affects mainly on the muscles, that's why. Then the sodium, we have already covered with the potassium and the chloride. So sodium is basically a table salt. We get it from the table salt. It maintains also the fluid and the electrolyte balance of our body. If sodium gets we get the deficiency, so though it causes a hormonal imbalance also. Our blood low blood sodium is result in also this the vomiting and diarrhea, and the diuretics like the potassium, and profuse sweating also. So the it actually maintains the acidity and the alkalinity of our body. That's why it's sort of like the potassium. Then the sulfur it's basically part of certain vitamins. Some amino acids contain the sulfur. So it determines the shape of the protein molecules, and the deficiency is usually not seen in the human beings, because it is very, its found is very in the very less quantity, in the 15 milligram. And sulfur we get from the sources of the from the liver, the fish, the poultry, the eggs, the cheese, and also the beans contain the sulfur. So it basically functioning of the sulfur, it basically present in the hormones and vitamins, so that our body could perform regulate the body activities. And if the deficiency is there, the cramps may occur in our body. And the last is a zinc. Zinc is basically uh, helps in the taste perception and act as a coenzyme also. And zinc is basically many food contain zinc in very minute quantity. It's approximate needed 15 milligram of our body weight. So their actually presence is very necessary in our body for the vital functioning, but they are needed in very less quantity. So zinc is basically necessary for the growth, just like the iron also. And the deficiency may be caused in the delayed wound healing and the impaired appetite and the diarrhea. It regulates the growth, so it may give rise to the deformed bones and in the dwarfism of the person also. Okay, so all this is about minerals. Any questions?
Ma'am, can you explain what is the symptom of deficiency of phosphorus? Can you show that
Sym-
slide?
Symptoms of
Phosphorus deficiency.
phosphorus deficiency. Phosphorus is basically acts with the calcium. So calcium and phosphorus both basically the same functioning almost. So phosphorus is also helps in the formation of the bones and the teeth. And it also basically a important system of the blood also. It constitutes a part of the blood also. And it helps in the contraction of the muscles also and in the nerve impulse also. Okay, because the transfer of the message from one nerve to and another nerves needs some ions, the elements or the minerals, which are those the calcium and the phosphorus. So in the bones also. So if the phosphorus does not get deficient in our body, the problem with the convulsions may there. Convulsions means like the fit like sometimes. So but in the calcium, if the deficiency of calcium there, the problem of the rickets and the osteomalacia, osteoporosis like problem may occur. But in the phosphorus, bone deficiency is also there, but it the more on the nerve impulse, so convulsion problem is there. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So next topic I'm taking about the water and the it's also water and the uh, fiber. हम्म, बोलो अभी बात में बात करना लास्ट ले Have you seen? दिख रहा है क्या सबको?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now we will discuss next the element that is actually the water, the nutrient you can say. So water is also very important. Why water is basically very essential for our life. We can survive without food for how many days? Anyone? No one?
Maybe 4 to 5 days or 7.
For weeks, you can go for basically for weeks, for a month even.
Okay.
3 to 4 weeks you may go without your food, but not without water, है ना? For water, uh, you may survive for hardly 5 to 7 days. Okay. So water is basically a macronutrient which is made up of the two elements, the hydrogen and the oxygen, है ना? H2O, the two atoms of the hydrogen and one atom of the oxygen. So water is basically an inorganic compound. Okay, it does not contain the carbon. That's why it's an inorganic compound. So it is what are the function basically? The boy, it is approximately, it is present in the 70% of our total body weight, 55 to 70% of our total body weight. So the percentage of water tends to decrease as a person gets older also. And so in the infant and the children have a very high content of the water comparatively to the adults, and the fat individuals who are basically obese have also the less water than the lean ones. So water is very essential nutrient, and next only to in importance to the oxygen. Like oxygen, we can live without water for 5 to 7 days, but we can't live without oxygen for a few minutes also, है ना? Only we can during the kumbhak we can hold for the our breath, so we can able to hold our breath for few minutes, but not beyond that. So deprivation of water even for a few days can lead to the death. So water is very essential component of our every cell, है ना? Especially they are made up of the intracellular fluid, and it is present in the extracellular fluid also. So there are the variation in the water content of our various tissues. So metabolically active tissues such as the brain, our liver, the blood, the muscles contain more water than other tissues. So those which are less active. So blood plasma has 90%, no, it's 55%, and the muscle tissues are the 75 to 80%, and the fat tissues are the 20% of the water. So what is a function? What is a major component of our body? Approximately 55 to 70% of our total body weight. है ना? So it serves as a major and the essential component of the cells, and it also act as a medium basically in all body fluids, है ना? So it is present in the blood, in the saliva, in the digestive fluids, in the urine, in the feces, in the perspiration, and it is also act as a building material for each cell of our body. And water is a universal solvent, so it's able to dissolve all the products of the digestion also. And further, it is a constituent of the all body fluids, like right now I told you about the blood, the saliva, and it also helps in the transport of the products of the digestion to the appropriate organ, है ना? The all the nutrients which get digested then further taken to their respective body parts for their proper functioning. So it is carried with the help of the water. So like blood, which contains 90% of the water, carries carbon dioxide to the lungs, nutrients to the cells, and the waste nitrogenous material and salt to the kidneys. And water also okay. So, urine, which contains 97% of the water, has all the waste material which gets dissolved in it, and thus it is body is thus able to excrete all the soluble waste products of our metabolism through the urine. And water is also needed for the chemical reactions which happens in our body. For example, the breakdown of the sugar to the simpler sugar, है ना, needs the presence of the water also. And water act as a lubricant also. It prevents a friction between the two parts, between the two hard parts, you can say so. And also the water plays an important role in the regulation of the body temperature. So under the normal circumstances, our body temperature is how much? either it is 98.4 Fahrenheit or 37 degrees centigrade. So the heat is produced in the body by the burning of these all the nutrients, the carbohydrates, the fat, and the protein. So water helps in distribute this heat throughout the body. Okay, not only that particular part, the through the water, the heat actually distribute on all our body. So some part of water is also lost from our body by the evaporation and then cools it down also. So water uses the body heat to this is basically needed to help in the evaporation. So thus the extra heat from our body is lost and the body temperature is maintained with the help of this water. And next, the water is a universal solvent and also act as a lubricant also. And what are the and the requirement? What is the requirement of the water in our body? It's about 1 ml of water is needed for 1 kilocalorie energy intake. So 2000 ml water or the 2 liter water is necessary when energy intake is approximately 2 kilocalorie. Okay, so the amount of water needed by an individual depend upon the working conditions, on their environmental temperature, on the humidity, the work occupation, and also the diet. So water, apart from as a water, we obtain from our food also, and we have to drink how much? 1.5 to 2 liters of the water every day. So the sources basically in the form of the liquids and in the form of the solids. In the form of the liquids, besides the water, we drink what beverages such as the tea, the coffee, the fruit juices, some aerated drinks is which is not good, but some people consume. So water supply is also from there, and the ingestion of water also in the form of the solid foods. Okay. So all food, solid foods have also the water content in them. So it is very important to drink water in a very safe way, which should be free from any germ causing waterborne diseases, and clean and safe drinking should be there. And if water like an athlete or the player which plays a game or like the football or the hockey, they may lose several liters of the water and also the dissolved salts in them. So during the game they would need the replacement of that, so they consume more water during their workout. On the other hand, a sedentary individual would need much of the less water. So what is the problem or the deficiency is mainly the dehydration. That is a loss of the water. So intake of the water and other fluid, if less than the body needs, then the dehydration occurs. It's a very serious problem. In this, there is an excessive loss of the water, either due to the diarrhea or the vomiting or combination of the both also. So infants having the high water requirement get dehydrated basically very quickly, and the loss of the water and the electrolytes is if not made up promptly, so they suffered from other problems also, convulsions like problems also may happen. And the vomiting is due to the either gastrointestinal disturbance or any other cause may there, and which later on give rise to the loss of the fluid from the body, है ना? So excessive perspiration due to the any strenuous exercises during the game may also result in the losses of the water. So in some fevers also loss of water is there due to the perspiration. So in all such instances where there is a loss of water, it is very important to replace the water and the electrolytes and the soluble salts. They should be maintained quickly so that the body composition should be appropriate, and that should not affect the functioning of the body. So any loss more than the 10% of fluid from the body can be serious. So deprivation of the water can cause poor absorption of the food also, the delayed functioning, the delayed elimination of the waste products, elevation of the body temperature, which gives rise to the fever, then the failure of the circulatory system, and the malfunctioning of the renal system also. And if water gets more accumulated than the normal range, the problem is the edema. Edema is the accumulation of the excess fluid in the tissues. Here it occurs when the sodium content in the extracellular fluid it increases. So these all our electrolytes are maintain our intracellular fluids and extracellular fluid. So further they are also affect our body maintenance also, the which is known as a homeostasis and other normal regulation of our body. So if sodium is there, then the extracellular fluid is there, which is due to the inability of the kidneys to excrete the sodium. The sodium presence may give rise to the edema. So water retained inside due to the excess sodium and resulting in the edema. In protracted protein deficiency also, the tissues are unable to ensure water balance and the edema happens, which is called the nutritional edema. Nutritional means due to the presence of the protein, more protein inside our body. And some other conditions also there which lead to the edema are basically to the kidney disease, in the cirrhosis of the liver, and in some heart ailments also. Uh, then the fiber is also very important part of our nutrients. This is a very last topic, but the fibers are very important. Fiber is nothing but also the non-available carbohydrate basically. So they are also known as the roughage, the bulk, which is includes basically the parts of the plant food which body cannot digest or absorb, but their presence is very much needed in our body. So this is basically the indigestible carbohydrates like the cellular present in the plant food na? In the first topic during the carbohydrates we discussed, because the starch, the polysaccharides have to be converted into the simpler one, the disaccharides, or the later one into the monosaccharides. So but these are the carbohydrates which our body cannot digest. They are basically remain there in the indigestible form, but they play a very important role in regulation of our body processes. And what are those? So they gives us satiety value uh, in our food basically. So the sources fibers are the soluble fiber are also there, and the insoluble fiber are also there. The soluble fiber are the fiber dissolves in water to form a gel like structure. So they can help in maintaining the blood cholesterol and the glucose level, and these are present in the oats, peas, beans, apple, citrus, fruit, carrots, barley, and psyllium. So insoluble are basically remain there, and they cannot be digested, but they benefit. It's basically they helps in clear our intestines, our bowels, and very beneficial in the problem of the constipation or the irregular stool movements of if a person have. So the sources of the insoluble fiber are the whole wheat flour, the wheat bran, nut, bean, vegetables like the cauliflower, especially these the green cauliflower. What we say is the क्या कहते हैं इसको, the broccoli.
Green.
Broccoli is a very high fiber content in it. Yes, what you are saying, Lipalika?
No, no, I am saying only green beans.
Okay, green juice, but broccoli also have high content of the fiber, because today I made na, that's why I know. So the green beans, the potatoes, these are also the high good sources of the insoluble fibers. The benefit is basically they normalize our bowel movements. So they help in the easy elimination of the unabsorbed food in the form of the stools, and they hold also the water and then makes the stool softer and further helps in the easy elimination. So the particular function of fiber makes basically useful for the preventing the constipation or relieving, and it's very good idea to eat a diet which has a very good amount of the fibers basically. So it normalizes our bowels movements and helps maintain the bowel health also, because the constipation further gives rise to the hemorrhoids or IBS like problems maybe, so colorectal cancer also, so it prevents that also. And it lowers the cholesterol level, because the soluble one are get they may lower the total blood cholesterol also by lowering the low density lipoproteins or the bad cholesterol levels. Yes, lipalika.
Yes, ma'am. Tomorrow we'll do again that benefits of fiber. Today it's already 5:30. Again we have class 6 o'clock.
Okay, just my, I think so my topic is completed right now. Only this is here. Okay, just a second, only for 1 minute, I think so. It is completed. Okay, so in a very short, it also helps in control the blood sugar level also. The dietary the fibers also helps in the absorption of the sugar also, and it's also achieving the healthy weight also. If the person is suffer from the too much of the diarrhea, they the absorption of the intestines of the nutrients does not happen. So because of this, it also makes the person in achieving the healthy weight also. So likely to eat less and stay satisfied hunger. So the sources basically are the fibers are the outer covering of the cereals and the pulses, the whole wheat flour, and all these are the especially the lotus stem, the green leafy vegetables. They actually help in the maintaining the digestive system health basically, है ना? And prevention of the some disease like the cancer, diabetes. So the fiber requirement is there. It's 38 to 30 grams, and the fiber sources we have discussed. So this is the topic we have completed regarding the diet and the nutrition, and the whole syllabus is completed till now. If you have any queries, any questions, you may ask in the group, or later on we will manage one class. And right now for me,